Grand Rising, Grand Rising. How y'all doing? Hello, 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 hello. How y'all doing? Grand Shining. Grand Awakening. I love that one. All is well, all is well. All is definitely well. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. How y'all doing? Y'all good? Y'all doing good? I can't believe I'm actually on the live. It's like 8 o'clock in the morning my time. It was too early to be live. I was going to go back to sleep. Child, please. I want to go back to sleep, but I got another tour I got to do this morning. So I'm actually on here, like, sneaking right now. I'm about to get off here soon. All right, so I don't know. I want if you guys have not, I need you guys to go on to the front page of my Instagram and take a look at the posts that I've been putting up, because I'm in Mexico City and I have been posting pictures and videos of the Teotihuacan, I hope I'm saying this right, pyramids. And there has been so many downloads and things that have come to me on such a deeper level, because of what I had expressed to you guys in my previous live when I told you I had did some spiritual investigations to find out about the indigenous in the bloodline. And the people here are part of the bloodline. And I believe it to be that way for a lot of quote unquote African Americans, okay, so-called African Americans. I think one of the things that I found to be very profound was there seems to be an Egyptian influence there. The reason why I'm saying this is because when I went to go touch the pyramid, I deliberately sent energy on the pyramid on purpose and shot it up the pyramid. And then I got a response back where there was energy that was shot down back to me. And lo and behold, you have your first eye. Lo and behold, it was Horus that was standing at the top of that pyramid. Now, that pyramid, that particular pyramid of the sun, was dedicated to Tahuti. So that should already tell you guys that this pyramid or these pyramids or this particular complex, it's much younger than the one over in Egypt. Okay? And there seems to be an Egyptian influence pretty much all over the world. Or we've had some type of knowledge, or the people have had some type of knowledge, but there seems to be this because, like I said before, a lot of the temples, okay, and it was also broken down to me that I need to know the difference, and most people need to know the difference between the actual pyramids and the actual temples, because the way they built their temples here in Mexico looks like pyramids. So we do need to know the differences between the two. But for anybody that is considered to be African American or has been born in the Americas, it is imperative that before you start crossing yourself overseas, it is imperative that you begin to start getting some research done about your ancestry, your ancient ancestry. You need to find that out. Now, you're not going to get that information if you go and get a blood test for your ancestry. So that means it's going to require some type of reading that you need to receive in order to find out that information. I'm debating on whether or not I'm open to actually offer that service to people. But there's plenty of people out there I'm sure you guys could speak to find out this information. I'm debating on whether or not I'm going to do it or not. I haven't made up my mind yet. But this has been a life-changing experience for me, and I'm just getting started. I'm going to be coming back and forth to Mexico City just so I can continue to keep studying, and not just there. There's other places I'm going to travel to that I'm going to start posting things on the website so you can begin to start knowing your history, your true history in the Americas, because we were all up and through the Americas, all up and through. So it's imperative that you guys start traveling to get to places. If you don't have the money to go overseas, then take your ass down here to Mexico. It's like right down the damn street. It's literally down the street. And there's no reason why you shouldn't take the time out to go see these things for yourself so you can make the connection. When I moved to Arizona, I went straight to Sedona. I went to the Grand Canyon to make the connection because I knew that there was ancestry on the lands in the Americas as well. Not just bloodline ancestry. Well, that does go all the way back to the bloodline. So I want you guys to take the time out to really, if you really want to get to know who you are, you must understand that you are universal. You are universal, period. Because what you're going to find is that you're going to have a lot of different bloodlines that is tied to you. So we're like the new being for the new world. We are native indigenous, period. That's who we are. We are native indigenous. It is imperative that you guys understand this. Do not let nobody outside of you classify you as who you are. Second, anybody that's having an issue with you because you decide that you want to leave actually the United States, be clear about something. The United States is not just your land, but Mexico is also your land too. South America is also your land too. I want to be clear about what I'm saying. Because what you're going to start finding out as you begin to start traveling to these other countries in the Americas, you're going to see a whole lot of people that look just like you. Look at the tones of the skin. Y'all see that copper color? Y'all see that? The redness. Now the lighting is weird, so you don't see the red tones. But I'm trying to explain something to you guys. The copper colored skin. The texture of our hair. See, my hair is very fine because I know that I'm an Indian or native indigenous. So my hair is very fine. So it takes a minute for my hair to lock up. It'll take a whole year for this head to lock up just because my hair is very fine. But once it locks up, it's very, very beautiful. This is my third set. Okay? The texture of the hair. And it can do the nappy thing whenever I'm not doing anything with it. It can do the nappy thing. But the point I'm trying to make is that there's a lot of our history here in Mexico. Okay? There's a lot of our history here. Don't disconnect yourself from it because of the programming that you was getting from these folks, these foreigners that is occupying our lands. Okay? Another thing that really tripped me out was when I was doing some research about the Spanish Inquisition and how they were coming in to take over. Now, mind you, during this time period, a lot of the people that were here were much darker hue. Okay? It was the conquistadors. You had the Moorish conquistadors that assisted the Spanish conquistadors to come in and take over Mexico. They are the ones, they say that there's two different types of Moors, okay? But I'm just making you aware that they also played a major role in the wiping out and the killing of a lot of the native indigenous ancestors. They played a major role in that. And the Spaniards during that time period, these are what we call the white Spaniards that came in to occupy Mexico. And this is the reason why a lot of the people in Mexico, they have more of the lighter hue. But these are still our brothers and sisters. I want you guys to be clear about that. Now, you have a lot of, there's a lot of ignorance out here being perpetuated, which is why I said to you, it's very important that you take the time out and you make the trip and you spend time and you get to know the stories of the lands. When you come and you touch those pyramids, or even just you walking on the complex, I'm going to tell you what happened to me. I immediately started getting flashes of what it was like when they were in their prime. Flashes, visions of how beautiful it was back then. The types of tools that they utilized to build those pyramids back then, I still can't seem to fathom in my mind how that's even possible. Now, what I found to be interesting is that when I went to the Pyramid of the Moon, That was deep. Because when you're walking toward the Pyramid of the Moon, well, let me just say this. The first thing that we looked at was the Quetzalcoatl Agricultural Temple. That particular temple was the temple that they were utilizing when they were doing those sacrifices, where they were chopping your heads off and the falling head. That was that particular temple. And I'm gonna put some more pictures. I'm gonna put some pictures of that, more pictures of that on the Instagram. But we went there, we checked that out and everything. I thought that was pretty interesting to hear the story of that. But when you actually first walk on the land, it's like you're walking into a portal. It's like it takes you back in time. If any of you guys are spiritual and you're tapped in and you got your first eye open and you're tapped in, you're going to immediately start getting communication and downloads. Immediately. Yes, you'll get a strong connection. Period. I don't know that if naturally you're going to get a stronger connection if you don't have your shoes on. But shit, you guys got to understand the kind of energy that's on that entire complex. Period. You're walking literally into another. It's like you're going through a portal, and you're going back in time. And I want to share this with you as well. The past, the present, and the future is all going on at the same time. So like, when I go into meditation, or one of my members of my team go into meditation, let me explain something to you that happened one time. Contact one of my members of my team, and we had to help a client because I was doing the quantum karmic cleanse, and they couldn't get the karma cleared because the stuff that they had did was so serious that they had offended some tribal people from way back in the day. I mean, way back. And so I had to contact one of my people. This was about a year ago. 8 months to about a year ago. I contacted one of the members of my team. And he went into meditation. And he was telling me how when he went into meditation, he first met with, I talked to the chiefs of my bloodline. He goes into meditation. They meet him in meditation. They take him to where he was supposed to go meet the chief at. And he said that when he was in the process of doing that he had to go through two portals. And he's explaining to me that in the lands, they didn't have any houses. They didn't have all that stuff back in the day. This is back when they had TPs and stuff like that. This is how far back it was. And they finally he went through two portals, and then he finally brought him to that chief. I thought that to be very interesting. And there were some things that he had to do for that person to make amends with that particular tribe. After that work was done, that particular tribe had stated that when this person grows and learns, so shall we grow and learn. When this person elevates, so shall we elevate. I thought that was very interesting, and I made a mental note of that before I started having those experiences, going into the realms, talking with those first way ancient ancestors, and then them taking me. So the point I'm trying to make is that when I went into that complex, I went back in time because I was able to actually see, like they was actually giving me flashes. I was actually able to see what it was like back then. That shit is deep. It seems to me that, at least in the Americas, I'm not going to talk about the stuff that was going on over in Africa. I'm strictly focusing on the Americas because this is where I was born. This is where my bloodline was born. They are here on these lands, all throughout these lands. My great-grandmother already had told me a long time ago, you're not black, you're not a Negro, you're an Indian. Period. Point blank. Don't let these people tell you something that you're not. Okay? So, going back in time and seeing that was very profound. And I can see why they worked so hard to try to stamp us out. But it seems to me, even learning about the Spaniards, and these are white Spaniards, learning about the Spaniards and how they came in and started taking over Mexico and all those families that they slaughtered, because I saw that too. All the families that they went and slaughtered, all the people that they went and slaughtered because they wanted to take over Mexico. And then, of course, the mixing of the races take place and so forth and so on. And here we are today. Okay? They have evolved just like we have evolved. The people in the United States that were born on American soil, we weren't slaves in the way that they taught it. We were actually invaded. I need you guys to understand that. So this is that invasion of these particular types of people have been going on for a very long time all throughout the Americas. Now, taking it back before that, this is where it gets super interesting. When I started finding out about the Vatican, when they talked about how the Vatican had a serious influence over the indigenous tribes. Now, if you guys were paying attention to my page, I had put up a post where they showed the Pope with an Indian headdress on, visiting Canada, giving his so-called apology for all the stuff that the Catholic Church had done. Pedophilia and all that stuff's been going on since back in the day. That shit's been going on like forever, you might as well say, as far as them people. That's been going on. And it's funny because there's even a scripture in the Bible that talks about that. And it's crazy to me how when you start actually going back and researching things and trying and putting things together, you start finding out, there was a scripture where Jesus was talking about people seeing, like pulling basically the curtain back and letting people see exactly what goes on with these people that are in power. And then basically you find out that it was a bunch of pedophilia going on and sacrifices going on with human beings, with children, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All that stuff was going on as far back then. So they create these the Vatican itself. Because I mean, when I tell you, when that tour guide said that, mentioned about the Vatican influencing the Tehuacans at that time, I said, you gotta be shitting me. I said, are you saying that the Vatican was in existence back then? I said, hold up. So then now it's got me more curious because I want to know more information about that because that was very fascinating, right? So I'm still doing my research on this. I'm going to come back and talk about this more as I continue to do my research. And then when I do my research, it's not just about book knowledge, because what I'm realizing is that we don't get the correct starting points to these stories anyway. So I have to also go into meditation and also look at it from that perspective too. So I got two sides I can look at this from to kind of get the full story. All right. So, man, I find out, well, I knew about who was behind the Vatican. I just wasn't aware until he mentioned what he mentioned about the influence of the Vatican, that it was that far back. I wasn't aware of that. So I think I mentioned this before in my previous lives, that there were, when the planet got invaded, it was invaded by reptilians, greys, Anunnaki. Reptilians and greys, the Anunnaki came first, because you got to remember the Anunnaki were the ones who were actually, that had the major Egyptian influence, okay? And I want to be clear about something. The original Egyptians were not Anunnaki, okay? But the Anunnaki did come over and did take over Egypt, and they were pharaohs and so forth and so on, and they portrayed themselves as the original Egyptians, but they were false light. But they're still heavily influenced by Egypt. I know this for a fact. They're still heavily influenced by Egypt. But aside from that, by the Egyptian gods and everything, the actual real Egyptian gods that do speak to them. Okay? Very much aware of this. But during that time period, they're the ones who created the Vatican. They're the ones who created the hierarchy systems. So these hierarchy systems that we see came from the reptilians and the greys. I think they talked about this one dude, I can't think of his name, but they said they call him the gray Pope. He is an actual gray. Okay? So now it makes sense to me as to how they were able to survive this long. When I touched the Pyramid of the Moon, I sensed a strong Anunnaki presence that was there when I touched the Pyramid of the Moon. And I had asked him, I said, let me ask you a question. I told him, I said, I'm picking up on a strong Anunnaki influence over this Pyramid of the Moon. I said, could you tell me if in fact that the Anunnaki were present during that time period. He smiled at me. He was like, yeah. And it was funny because when we were on this tour, you had a few people that were there in their self-entitlement bullshit, and they were just there just to take pictures, just to say I've been there. I went there because I strictly wanted to learn, and I wanted to tap into the ancestry. So what I started finding out was that the Anunnaki, in fact, did have a major influence as far as the structures. They had an influence. So the Anunnaki are pretty much anywhere that you're going to see pyramid structures and things of that nature. You can best believe the Anunnaki is going to be a part of that. Somewhere in the bloodline, the Anunnaki has something to do with that. So they've been around. They are your sages. Okay, when they start talking about sage, that's Anunnaki. Okay, there's a strong, heavily Anunnaki influence over in India. Okay, a lot of those sages in India are Anunnaki. So when you start hearing them start to talk about certain types of people or certain types of beings with certain things with titles or certain people with titles, you got to understand that this shit really does go all the way back to the cosmos. And the shit's so deep that with the Vatican, what I found out about the Vatican was, and I don't know if the tour guide knew this, because he felt like he couldn't really go into, like he was about to go in, but he was catching himself because of the other people, and he didn't want to offend anyone. Because I know he was about to go in. He was just really happy that somebody actually was there that knew what the hell time it was on a deeper level. He was really excited about that. And I actually got his number, and we're going to talk some more, because this guy's a scholar when it comes to the history. He's also he also is a scholar in linguistics and the whole nine. So he's really, really intelligent, really knows his shit, really knows about the history of Mexico. Okay, especially as pertains to these complexes that are all throughout Mexico. There are pyramids all throughout Mexico, big ones and small ones, all throughout Mexico. That's why the United States hates Mexico so much, because there is where you're going to find your true history about a lot of different things. You're going to find it there. And it's all throughout the Americas. Even the Aztecs, when I was talking to a couple of tour guides here, they're breaking it down, telling me nobody seems to know the origins of the Aztecs. I thought that was deep. And they said they're believed to have come from the northern part of the continent of North America. Well, then that would be Turtle Island. So the Aztecs came down, and they're the ones who took over and conquered the Tehuacans. They took over them. But the Spaniards came around and took over the Aztecs. They're the ones who gave the Aztecs their name, but the Aztecs gave the Tehuacans their name. Does this sound familiar to you? Who are we currently being reclassified by right now? Does this seem familiar to you? Because they have reclassified us as black, and there's no such thing as a black person. It doesn't exist. You don't identify a person by a color, let alone identify a person by color they are not, because we're not black. This is black. See this right here? This is black. Are you this? If you're not this, then why are you calling or identifying yourself by this? We're not black. We're native indigenous. And it's time that we start addressing ourselves as who we really are and standing on that shit. And with you understanding that you're indigenous and you understanding that you have ties to the land that you live on, then you got to remove yourself from this corporation called the United States of America. Excuse me, the United States. Remove yourself so that system does not reclassify you. This has been going on, guys. This has been going on for a very long time. Like, there's damn near nothing new under the sun. We have been reclassified. They have been reclassified by their conquerors. We were reclassified by our conquerors with the help of Moorish conquistadors. I'm going in on that because I went a lot deeper than what I was being told in the books. I went deeper. I went beyond Noble Drew Ali and started going deeper to find out about these different Moors. I went deeper. I'm going deeper than that now. I'm going way deep. Stuff that you can't get access. Well, you might be able to get access to some of this stuff via the books, but some of the stuff, if you really want to get deeper into it, you start doing that meditation. You start talking to them native indigenous ancestors, they're going to tell you really what it is. Okay? So I'm not here to offend any Moors, but they also need to understand that there were some different ones that were around that did not have the best interest for our people. That needs to be understood. So now I got to ask them, okay, so what type of Moor are you? Which one are you? Are you the one that is for your captor or the captor of our people? Are you that guy or that woman? Do you even know? Do you really even have ties to the Moorish bloodline? Do you really have ties to that? This is why I tell people you got to tap into your ancestry to find out the truth. And they're going to be ones to tell you what it really is. I'm not going by what someone just says to me and says, oh, you're this. No, I'm not doing that. Nah, bruh, I need to go back and go to them ancestors' mind to find out. Because one thing I don't want to do is I don't want to claim anyone that has participated in the enslavement of my own people, of my family line. I don't want to claim that. Because there's karma that comes with that. I'm telling y'all what I know. I went through the process, the Ancestral Elevation. That's a program that I got to download from Source on, called the Ancestral Elevation Program, where literally we go in and we begin to start clearing out the actual karma between you and the living relatives that you have, and also the ancestors that date back to your bloodline. Now, we're getting information and messages and all types of things that's happening while that process is taking place. And I'm getting a lot of information from people that I've helped about their bloodline that goes all the way back there. It goes so far back, it goes all the way back to your ancient cosmic ancestors. All indigenous tribes have access to portals. So those ancient ancestors, your cosmic ancestors, can actually re-enter back in. This is why I said to you guys a long time ago, where we've always been cosmic. We've always been cosmic. And you've heard me mention that all of us have courts of these ancient cosmic ancestors. We have access to guides in our bloodline, because some of the guides are also our ancient ancestors. So not only when I did my elevation, not only did those ancestors get elevated, but the guides that are also a part of my bloodline also become elevated. There is so much more to you than what you know, and you're so much more vast than what you know. And yet, we tend to get caught up in this, you want to lock yourself into where you are in 3D. You got to learn how to balance the two. You have to balance between the cosmic and the 3D realm. You have to balance the two. Okay? You have to. We have got to really get away from this programming. And I'm just going to say it, and it's not a diss. I'm not dissing anyone. Let me make sure I'm clear. But this has to be stated. We have got, and that goes for the Mexicans too. We have got to deprogram ourselves from a colonization mindset, a Europeanized mindset. There's one brother out here that I really, really enjoy him, that's really breaking stuff down for us as it pertains to our health. His name is Yaki Awaken. I'm going to reach out to that brother because I would actually like to do a live with him. And he's breaking down a lot of things as it pertains to our body. And, you know, people have been saying to me, why I'm really afraid for him. I'm really scared for him, this, that, and the third. I said, no, y'all don't get it. It's all about timing. It's about timing. See, what I'm realizing is there's a lot of shit that happened during certain periods of time. But what I'm realizing is that a lot of our people did not recognize that there's a time and a place to reveal certain information, or a time and a place to come out with it on a much more larger public scale. There was a time and a place for that. So a lot of our people, a lot of our soldiers, a lot of our people, good people, fell because they didn't understand that aspect of it, that it's about timing. And so someone asked me yesterday, they said, I'm scared for that brother. I said, that brother's heavily protected, number one, so I wouldn't be afraid. I would not be worrying about that. That's number one. And number two, he's on his path. You are looking at someone that is on his path, like he was born and destined to do what he does. Period. And you can't do nothing but respect that. When you're destined, see, that's the issue here. See, when you're destined to do something, your ancestors and your bloodline, the guys of your bloodline, or whoever you're a part of, is going to protect you so you can do your mission because you're on path. Okay, now one person just said he about to be on Netflix. Okay, that's a blessing. You want to know why? Because he's on path. Who's opening up those kind of doors for him? Sabi didn't even get that. You know why? Because it's timing. It's the timing. And that's what I want you guys to understand. It's about the timing of things and when they happen. And I'm just and what I'm saying is that he's very well versed in native indigenous health. So when I say to you that we got to come out of that European mindset, that colonization mindset, we have got to come out of that separatism. We got to come out of that mindset. Unity consciousness, we need to go into that mindset. Period. This is the only way we're going to make it. The separatism, you thinking that you're separate from somebody else and all that kind of stuff, that's ignorance. And I put a post up on my Instagram that says, the devil can't do anything to you. He simply sits in the spaces of your ignorance. Of course, people got all technical because they didn't understand the metaphor behind what I was saying and why I was saying what I was saying. But the point I'm trying to make is that when one operates in ignorance, this is how you open yourself up to lower beings, malevolent forces that will keep you ignorant. Because you're operating on a low vibrational frequency and you're operating on a low vibrational frequency. And so therefore anything can get to you. Okay? So if you take the time out, and I even put that up there and I said, read it again. The devil sits in the place of your ignorance. Read it again. Play it back in your head again. Now, play back how many times when you were ignorant to a situation, how things played out. Play back how many times you've seen people that were ignorant to their situations and how those things played out. How you think is what you feel. What you feel is what you're going to vibrate to the universe. What you vibrate to the universe is what's going to track right back to you. What you think is how you feel. How you feel is what you're going to vibrate to the universe. What you vibrate to the universe is what you're going to track back to you. Okay? It is very important that you understand what I just said. I said it twice for a reason. Now, let's take a step back and ask yourselves how you think. Then tap in to how you feel. Understand that because of how you feel, that's what you're vibrating. Understand why shit keeps happening to you. Because if your mental is sick, if your mind is sick, you're going to attract that to you. Do you guys understand me? See, this is called the morning jewel drop. I do this on my Telegram channel. I'm going to start doing it here. When you vibrate, when you think, you got to think love first. It starts here. You got to think love first. When you think love, then you feel love. And when you feel love, you're going to vibrate love. And when you vibrate love, you're going to attract love. The law of attraction. So now you need to be more mindful of how you're thinking. How you're thinking. Because how you're thinking is what's going to continuously keep manifesting. So when you see the manifestations of people in hurt, of people in pain, of people projecting, of people having nasty things to say, people coming at you left and right, all that kind of shit, just understand, understand, their mind is sick. Simple. Once you understand that the mind is sick, you got one or two options. Me, I'm not trying to create karma for myself. As many niggas that came after me out here, I could have been shut shit down and blew niggas up out the water. But see, when I do it, it's not a good look. It's nasty when I do it. I'm the bully. Because I actually pull out facts and receipts and shit on niggas. I am a former investigative journalist. Hip-hop. I used to do that shit back in the day. I don't do that shit no more. Because I come to a higher understanding about things. So when people do shit like that, the only thing I can do is say, God bless you. I wish you nothing but the best. And not entertain the lower vibrational frequencies, because I don't want to create any necessary karma for myself, number one. And number two, I'm operating in love. Okay? When you see people out here that do those types of things, they're not operating in love. When you see people go out here talking about people and gossiping people, they're not operating in love. You can see how they're thinking based upon what's coming out of their mouth, based upon what's vibrating. It doesn't matter how much knowledge a person has. Don't get caught up in the knowledge of a person. Pay attention to their character. What are they showing you? Y'all have got to start tapping back into your emotional intelligence. Because this generation that's out right now has damn near zero emotional intelligence. I'm not going to listen to a teacher, a so-called teacher, scholar, lecturer, that's talking shit about somebody else, which we know damn well is going to cause division within the community. That lets me know right then and there, you haven't elevated to the level that you think that you have. So I'm not going to listen to you. Because I said you got more work to do. You're not at elder status yet. You're not there. Because you got more inner work to do. Because when a person does their inner work, they're not concerned about competition. They're not concerned about... Listen, you know what they would do? They would reach out. They would put other niggas on. They wouldn't have the mindset of, I want to get big in this. First of all, there's no such thing as getting big in this shit. Fuck you mean? You're coming into this for the wrong reasons. Either you're going to look, and this is the reason why you have teachers, you have leaders, and you have students. A wise teacher knows to always remain the student. Before he even considers taking on the responsibility of leadership. Because whether or not you realize it or not, that's exactly what happens, because people put you in that position. You didn't put yourself in that position. You were just talking and dropping knowledge. But people put you in that position. That's why I constantly keep saying to y'all, I ain't your leader. Not that. You're your own leader. I'm giving the power back to you, putting it back in your own damn hands. Because at the end of the day, you got to think for yourself, and you have to learn how to lead yourself. And it's dangerous whenever you put your shit in somebody else's hands that you don't know, and you follow them like sheep. It's dangerous. Either you think for yourself or fall. And it won't be nobody else's responsibility but your own. We're going to stop with these projections and talk about these elephant in the rooms and shit that nobody wants to address. The elephant in the room is very simple. You are responsible for your unhappiness because of the dumbass decisions you made in your earlier years. The lessons that you refuse to learn. Lack of self-awareness. Laziness. Not even wanting to putting in the work for something external. Let's talk about put the work in for something internal. See, when somebody comes for me, I'm going to go in right there. Like, baby, you seem unhealed. Don't sound like someone that's been putting in any work on themselves. You sound very hurt. I'm not responsible for your pain, baby. You're responsible for your pain. So let's talk about those childhood traumas that your ass ain't healed from. See, I get nasty with the shit. Nasty. That's why I don't go in on niggas. That's why you don't see me say anything, because I will do that type of research on a spiritual level. Look into your shit, see what's really going on with you, and call all your shit the fuck out. Because we all know that's what it's really about. You got unhealed wounds that your ass ain't healed from. And you're mad at the world because you're mad at everybody else. You're mad at everybody else because of shit you didn't heal from. Traumas that you went through. But you got to drop them damn bags. The most important thing that you guys should be concerned about at this point is yourself. And do a self-check on where you are. What we call a self-healing check on where the hell you are. If you ain't there, we ain't got shit to talk about. If you spitting off of the mouth and going off and talking about shit and going in on niggas and shit like that, you will never get a response from me. Because now I see that we're not operating on the same level. And if we're not operating on the same level, there's no sense in me entertaining you. Because we're not operating on the same level. You're ignorant. I'm going to leave you right there in the place. I'm going to leave the devil right there with you in the place of your ignorance. That's where I'm going to leave you at. And let you continue to keep... And then, what folks like that don't realize, too, is that the audience that they attract is the same unhealed audience, or the same unhealed people that they are. Remember, what you think here is what you feel. What you feel is what you're going to project. What you project is what you're going to get back. So all those people that are out there clout chasing, guess what? Your audience is only going to be there to hear the negative things you have to say about somebody else. But the minute that you try to come out and bring your true self out, you ain't gonna get barely no hits, no views. Why? Because they see the bullshit for what you are. That's the unspoken elephant in the room. They see you. Some people like to be entertained in their ignorance. Okay? But they see you. Never underestimate the fact that they see you, because they do see you. They see you. But it's like, let me hear the funniest shit this person's going to say, whatever kind of gossip they're going to say about this, that, and the third about the person. It's kind of like being entertained. Like, let me eat this popcorn, I'm going to eat this popcorn, I'm going to be entertained about this shit's funny as hell. But at the end of the day, when that same person comes out to teach some knowledge, when that same person comes out to try to share some information about things that they know, because of their approach and how they got the followers that they got, they're not going to listen to anything they got to say. They're not going to take you serious. I see it happening all the time. Go look at all the people that do shit like that, and then go look at when they go to talk about, when they're not talking about other people. You'll see when they're talking about other people that got high views. When they're not talking about other people and they're just talking about knowledge and science, they barely have no views. That shit's only going to go but so far. The ones who actually put in the work, who didn't have to go through that, they're going to continue to keep climbing. Because they've already established their foundations with real people. People that are trying to actually better themselves. Those people aren't going anywhere. Okay? Think about how you act in your personal life. Think about your friends that's in your personal life. These are people that you attracted. Think about your mates. I had to tell someone the other day, When they was telling me that they was having an issue with their fiance and how much they're growing and this, that, and the third. And I told them, I said, well, let's have the conversation. Let me go ahead and address the elephant in the room that you don't seem to be addressing. You're the one who changed. What you're witnessing is where you were at the time when you met that person. And just because you change don't mean that that other person has to change. I want you to really think about this. I've seen so many relationships break off because of this type of shit. I'm mad because my girlfriend ain't doing this, that, and the third, or I'm mad because my fiance or my boyfriend ain't doing this, that, and the third, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm the one making the changes. And I'm like, yeah, let's go back to what you just said. You're the one that's making the changes. You're the one that's elevating. But now you got to deal with the mess you created because you wasn't thinking properly at the time, in the right mind at the time when you attracted this individual. So now what you're doing is you're seeing a reflection of the old you, and you don't like that. And you want that person to change, and you're doing things to try to force that person to change, and the person looking at you crazy because in their mind, this is how they're processing it. I'm the same motherfucker you've been with since we met day one. I've been kicking it with your ass for how many years now? I'm the same person. I didn't change. So all of a sudden, why are you coming at me sideways about this, that, and the third? Why is that happening? What's going on? I don't understand what's going on with you. You making me insecure as hell because you acting all different. You moving different. You acting different. You moving real funny style right now. I don't like that. See? Because that's where you were at the time. Now you've elevated. I like this person when Blue Alizé said, each relationship is whom you were before, treated with love. That's correct. What do we do with that, though? Well, you just have to come to an understanding that as you evolve, listen, either the person that you're with is going to evolve, or you're going to evolve out that relationship and find someone that's going to match you where you are. See, that's the one thing that people keep forgetting. Who you are today does not mean that you won't be something different later on because you're growing. The knowledge you have today doesn't mean that it won't change in the future because you've learned more things. You had more life experiences. That's what I need you guys to understand. I need you guys to have emotional intelligence. Okay? It is perfectly okay for you to grow and evolve. You just have to come to a maturity level that this is where you were and this is who you are and that's where you're going. And if the people that are in your life at that time, they should be a reflection of where you are now. And if that person is not a reflection of where you are now, then you have to be honest with yourself and say, okay, I definitely have changed and I definitely have made some changes. And this is causing stress in the relationship. You're going to put on your grown man drawers and your grown woman drawers, okay, underwear, and you're going to have to make some harsh decisions. And you may have to separate from that person so you can continue to evolve. Even with family members, bro. You don't necessarily fade them out completely. That's your family. But you just understand who you're going to have around you, for how long you're going to have around you, and you set boundaries with them like, okay, I can only take so much of this. Okay? Love you and everything. Love you just the way that you are. I don't expect you to change. I love you to death. You are my mom. You are my dad. Whoever. You are my sister. You are my brother. You ain't got to be nasty about the shit. You just understand and understand that you are the one that's evolving. And then what happens is, as you continue to elevate and you continue to evolve, your loved ones are not going to tell you this right away, but they're going to watch you. They'll start admiring you. They might start making changes on their own in their own time. Don't try to force your way of thinking onto others. I don't care who it is. Don't try to do that. Let them be who they're going to be, and just understand that they didn't have enough life experience to get to where you are, and that's okay too. You have to be okay with being in that space. You have to be okay with letting go. Love is what brings people back to you when they walk out of your life. It's love is what brings people back. Everything starts with you first. That's correct. Infinite God is 3. That is correct. I'm glad you guys are enjoying this live. I'm checking to see. Okay. Only got a couple more minutes because I got to get up off of here because I got to get ready. No problem, baby girl. We have to, and you know what? And I may even do a live about the art of letting go. You know, a lot of times we get caught up in these attachments, and we don't know how to let those things go for whatever reason. Insecurities, and if you got insecurities, that means you ain't did your self healing. So then we got to go right back to self. You got to go right back before you focus on anything external of you. Before we focus on anything external of you, before you point the finger at everybody outside of you for your problems and your woes, please understand that there's 20 fingers being pointed back at you. Please understand that you are the author of your own life story. You are the author of your own life story. Based upon the actions that you take. And the actions that you take will govern your life story. Okay? It's a constant work in progress. I don't ever want to hear you guys say, oh, I did my shadow work, so I'm good. Negro, please. Shadow work will take place for the rest of your life because as long as you live on a planet of duality, you're going to be hurt. You may experience different things. And you're going to have to do the shadow work to deal with that, sit in your feelings and things of that nature. Healing, self-healing is a lifetime journey. You want to know why? Because you already came into this world with previous lifetime karmas that you haven't even healed from. That's playing themselves out in this lifetime. So you got hella shadow work to do. You got shadow work to do for you living right now. You got shadow work to do for previous life experiences because those things are still playing itself. Those things are happening. Remember, I said to you, these things are happening in the past, the present, and future. All that shit's happening at the same damn time. It is still happening at the same time. If you understand that you live on a multi-dimensional plane, then you understand when you're dealing in the cosmos and you understand the different dimensions and things of that nature. There's so many different dimensions of us. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? This is not the only version of who and what you are. Ladies and gentlemen, there are many different dimensional versions of who you are. You got 33 dimensions on planet Kai. That means there are 33 different dimensions of you on planet Kai, depending on what dimension you're operating on. There's 33 different dimensions of you on Kai. Not to mention all the different versions of you throughout the multiverse. Not to mention all the different versions of you throughout the omniverse. What does that mean? That means that one should understand that we only seek to constantly evolve. That you will continue to learn as long as your existence is here. Not just here, but everywhere else. You are going to continue to evolve. Whether you're in spirit form or you're in this physical 3D form. This is temporary. But the spirit continues to evolve because there's other different bodies and other different dimensions of you there. Don't limit yourself. Remove your limiting beliefs. Just because you see somebody else out here living a different way of life or what have you, there has to be emotional intelligence. There has to be emotional intelligence. Let me explain something to you. I don't hide my age from none of you guys. I'm very content with where I'm at. I don't do none of that shit. I just turned 51 a couple days ago, and I've been celebrating my birthday in Mexico City all week, having the time of my life. Now, so many of you seem to think that, first of all, you're not relating to the fact that I'm 51 because I look much younger than you. Let me just start. I act a lot younger than most people. Okay, I do, because I still have my youth in me. But I'm a lot older than a lot of y'all. I am considered to be an elder. Okay, but I'm tapped into the youthful side of myself. So that's why y'all always get confused when I say I'm 51. You're like, what? You don't even look 51. Well, I am, and I'm proud to be my age. I'm content with that. I still be pulling them niggas. Younger than me. They still holler. Ain't changed. The point I'm trying to make is that I have been established long before you niggas even knew who I was. Long before I started coming out on the scene. And make sure you're clear. I've been doing this shit. If you did your research, I've been doing this shit for a minute now. On live? We missed the 9 o'clock. Yeah, but they're picking us up at 9:30. So I want you guys to understand that naturally I would have like a nice home, cars, things like that, material shit, right? Naturally I would have these things established. But some of you goofies out here seem to think that what I'm doing today, which I'm choosing to go into the healing area, the healing field, the quantum healing field. Some of you Negroes got the game twisted and think that I'm making millions of dollars in the quantum field. Healing, nigga, ain't nobody making millions of dollars healing motherfuckers, especially ungrateful ass people who got trauma that don't want to heal, who want to project on everybody else. Most of them niggas ain't got no goddamn money. Let me be clear about this because you guys need to really hear me when I say this. It's really funny how these assumptions come about from people because there's no emotional intelligence. Naturally, I have a family. Okay, I have a family. That means I would have had to have been established because I'm a grown-ass woman. But niggas would be out here on some old ISIS is scamming. ISIS doing. How the fuck am I doing all that healing, motherfuckers? I don't get it. But there's no common sense being made. I want to be big. I want to do what she's doing. Nigga, I told y'all that I retired from the music business in 2018. As management. I came into the game as a journalist. A hip-hop journalist. I came into the music game. Then I evolved in my career path. Dummies. And this is only for the ones who are stupid with the childish ass mindset that don't think, that don't have no critical thinking. I'm not talking about to the people who do have critical thinking that got enough common sense. So I'm like looking at this shit and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, do they not realize? Well, I gotta have a bunch of gray in my hair for you niggas to get it. My hair got to be gray and shit. For y'all to process it better. I just decided to step out because I wanted to help people get on their path. But there's always this other shit that people have these assumptions about, and I never understood that. I never processed that. I never understood it. But make sure you guys are clear about something. There is nothing pretty nor sweet about putting yourself out here on the line to help a bunch of ungrateful ass goddamn people that don't know shit from their goddamn asshole. All right, Instagram put a timer on me, so they're about to cut me off. But I'm done. Appreciate talking with y'all. I got to get up out of here anyway. But we'll speak soon. Peace.